Let's get ready to rumble!
I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I will survive. Keep on surviving. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I will survive. Keep on
She's got
surviving.
space outside. She's gone for a gentle. Oh, is that a try saver or is that a try? Caitlin Beevers has scored a wonderful taking Tigers on the outside score and extended the lead for Leeds. And she worked another one. And their injured regular skipper Lois Purcell clutching the trophy. They have beaten the Castleford Tigers.
Like I say, thanks again for joining us. But if you were to give a little bit of a summary about yourself, what you do and what it is and why it is that you are quite well known, what would you say?
I'd just say rugby league, really.
Hmm.
Rugby playing and refereeing has got me to where I am, really. And it's been quite shocking how far I've gone with it from playing at a young age. I didn't expect. Obviously, there were dreams. Like growing up, I always said I want to play for England. Blah blah blah. I never thought it'd be a thing because growing up, it weren't really a thing. It was very underrated. Very it was the minority of rugby league, really.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to where I've got now, really.
And you're someone who it seems that rugby basically runs through your veins for you because, like you said, you're a referee and a player. So where did it all start for you? Were your family all big rugby league fans?
Yeah, my uncle actually played for Leeds Rhinos. Well, they weren't Rhinos at the time. They weren't Rhinos at the time. It was a very long time ago. He were actually best mates with Roy Powell. So my uncle got signed for Leeds. And my uncle said, "I'm not signing unless you sign Roy as well." So they came as a duo through the Leeds system, and so rugby's always been a massive part of our lives as a family. And then when I was about 6-year-old, my mum, I've got a twin brother, and my mum and dad went to my brother. So do you want to start playing? And I practically said, "Oh, what about me?" And just those few words, I was like, "All right." So started playing since I was 6. I had to lead the boys team at age 11. Yeah. And then I joined the first girls team in the area, which was insane, really. But we didn't play. I think we had 2 games in the season because we don't know what the girls team's about.
Yeah.
So I took a gap year trying to find another team, and that's where I found reffing. I wanted to stay in the game even though I couldn't play. Yeah. And I thought refereeing was the best way to do it.
And it's interesting because you've basically answered my next question there, because from my own experience and from what my brother's been through as well, you see girls who enter majority boys sides at a young age, and then they're told at a certain age that that's it, you can't play anymore, you have to stop playing. And what's that like to go through as an experience as a girl who is so passionate about rugby?
You know what, I agree with it. I massively agree with it, and that's probably not what you were expecting.
In terms of like, you might look back at it now and go, it's probably the right idea, but at the time it must be a blow to you.
Yeah, well, playing for that team since 6 to 11, that it were a massive part of my life then, and playing alongside my brother was lovely. And I was brought up with them lads, and like I said, just being told you've got to leave now, you've got to find something else to do. Yeah, it were heartbreaking, but then like I said, I agree with it because I'll openly admit when I was in the last season, my cousin played for a different team, and when we played against each other, he was massive for his age, and he just ran straight over me, absolutely flattened me. And that's the lads are at that age where they're just starting to develop, same as me. Most of the lads would be like, I don't know where to touch you.
Yeah.
So I think it's his awkwardness and the fact that there's some big lads out there for their age.
Yeah. And so what's it like for you then? Because you mentioned you're playing with your brother, and then you say your cousin was playing for another team.
Yeah.
And it's so between those ages of 6 and 11, are you aware that you're playing in a boys' sport, or is that just oblivious to you?
I guess growing up, I kind of knew, because each game I'd go into it going, oh, is there going to be another girl? And there never were. There were just never a girl on the other team. Sometimes I hid my hair, and after the game they'd be like, you were a girl. But I think he kind of realised, but at the time it wasn't something that brought me down or brought the thought of the sport down. It actually, I liked it, knowing that I was playing in a boys' team and I was actually doing it all right for myself.
Yeah.
It was actually really good, but it, like you said, over that period of time, and then what I really realised it when I had to leave the boys' team, because you went from playing every week to playing twice a year, and that's how you realise that it's really a minority.
And you mentioned it a little bit before, but do you think that the pathway for girls rugby needs to be improved slightly? Because like you said, you got told to leave and you found the one girls team, but they don't play many games because there aren't that many girls teams around. And so how long was it until you were back actually playing again properly?
I played a few seasons for that team, and obviously they gradually started getting more games.
Yeah.
But then they moved club, and obviously with me being brought up in that club, I didn't want to move.
No, yeah, of course.
So I tried to make my team at the club. I got my dad to try and coach and stuff, but the numbers just weren't coming, because, like I said, we were one of the only girls teams in the area. All the girls were really taken. So I think it was about a year and a half until I found another team, and for about a year and a half, and that's where I picked up reffing.
And obviously, if you flash forward a few years, I'd say the last 2 years, have they been a bit overwhelming for you? Because you've gone from where you were there winning the nation's schools in 2017 to now touring with England just last year.
Like I said, it's something I've always wanted to do, but something I didn't think was possible. Especially going to Australia and Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea being the first, we were the first women's team to ever do that, for England. And like I said, from playing at the school games, it was something I've always enjoyed doing, and I loved going to London to play every year. And I guess it was the pathway that the girls' game needed. Especially now, the profile is massively increasing.
Of course.
And for example, the foundation for Leeds Rhinos, Lois Lorsell and Shannon Lacey are doing an amazing job. And in their local area, because I've done a bit of work with them, I see what goes into it.
Yeah.
So all that raises, and now they've got a DICE program for the England pathway kind of thing, so for really young girls.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I got selected for the performance squad at 16, and it was very daunting. First year of Super League, and I didn't really know anyone, and there were a lot of people older than me. I were quite young at the time, so I think,
of course.
Yeah, I think overall last 2 years has been really, really good. Stuff I haven't ever expected.
And it's, speaking of overwhelming, how's winning a grand final on your birthday and then flying to Australia the next day? That sounds pretty overwhelming to me.
Yeah, definitely. It was funny because obviously in the changing rooms, they're all talking about going out, celebrating, and obviously I couldn't do that night. After the game, I went straight to Manchester hotel, but it's something I'm not complaining about. You can always celebrate a birthday or the fact that we won a final together any day, but going on a tour to represent it, it's just something that you can't complain about, really.
No. So were you stuck a bit in your hotel room that night?
To be fair, it was really nice of the team. I was just sat at the table, we're all having our tea, and they came in with a massive cake. It was really nice, except from you got a few frowns if you ate a bit too much.
To be fair, you had just won a grand final. It's not like you didn't deserve it.
To be fair, I don't think I needed to watch how much I were eating, because every 2 minutes they're always telling me, you need to get a bit bigger, come on.
So
but
so that Australia, it was a Nines World Cup, wasn't it, you went to after that? What was that like as an experience? Because it is a World Cup at the end of the day.
Yeah, that was the first Nines World Cup for the women's game. And it was astounding. The setup was unreal, and it is a totally different game. And I think we went into it underestimating like the actual ability of the Nines. I think we thought, oh, it's a few less players, but it's a totally different game. It's a totally different game plan. So it were really good. It were an amazing experience, and I've always wanted to go to Australia, so that was the icing on the cake, really. I've played 2 of the 3 games. I've got rested for one, and I really enjoyed the game that I was rested, just as much as I did when I were playing, because that's the time when you could really take like a pause and look round and admire what you're a part of, and that really helped me make the experience.
And what was your experience of actually playing nines before that? Because I know from my own experiences that playing in 7s or 9s, it's a completely different game. Hell of a lot more running around.
Oh yeah. Luckily, I'm quite fit, but even then, I was playing in 32 degrees. It were an absolute killer. But I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's a massively different game, and we went into it having a few forwards, some backs, and just trying to, I don't know, I think it was break down the middle and then ship it wide. But for 9s, it's just constantly shipping, and that's what we needed to know. But no one had ever played 9s before, and I think for saying that we haven't, and we're not full time like the Aussies, or part time, then I think we really put up a good performance to say that we didn't know what to expect.
And I want to go back to, you mentioned the Papua New Guinea tour, and I've heard, it's quite famous amongst the England internationals, for men's and women's, because it's something that they all do from the nights, and they all talk about what an amazing experience that is. Did you get the same feeling from that? It's quite, to be out there where they love rugby league so much.
Yeah, like you said, they love it so much. It's worshipped. It's their national sport, and we went over and we were treated like gods. It were unreal. A big part of us being there was to change the opinion of some of the men, because over in Papua New Guinea, the women are still massively under them, and we got told before going out there, if you see women getting shouted at, being hit or anything like that, you don't get involved. For a few of the girls, that were a big problem, and I think that's what really made us realise how big our part is over the tour when we were there, and being admired by that many people. Like Garocca, there were 7.5. I think, yeah, there were a lot of people, and Port Moresby being the opener for the GB game on a big stage like that was an experience and a half.
So did you actually, because you mentioned about you're seeing some of the stuff that happens over in Papua New Guinea, especially to the women. Did you actually experience any of that while you were there?
No, luckily we didn't experience any of that. But for example, we weren't allowed to give our any clothing away because of how big it would be to them. For example, at one of our games, one of the girls slipped a sock to her kid sat on the floor by the gate, and it nearly got trampled because old people were trying to come forward for more, and people just beat up the kids for our clothing.
God.
So it was dangerous, but hopefully we made a bit of a difference.
And obviously, to get to that point, you've had to go through the hard work of playing for your club. So, what's it been like for you to actually play for Leeds Rhinos, the team that I imagine you support?
Well, growing up, I've always just watched rugby league in general,
Right.
but it is my local team is Leeds, and obviously my uncle used to play there. It's quite it was quite convenient.
Yeah.
So at first I got signed in the 19s, that just after my 16th, and it all just flew from there. Really, I only had a few training sessions with them, and then the whole 19s team got invited to the first team to see, like, just to train with them to see how we cope if some of us did get moved up. And after that session, I got moved up straight away and didn't ever get to play again for the 19s. It were fast. I'd only played a few games in the for women's in my local club, so not at high standard, and it were only like 3-4 games, so it was very like overwhelming, and that's where, like I said, hard work were really, really needed.
But it's something that seems to be reoccurring with you. You get in, like you said, you got into the under-19 squad when you were 16, and then you didn't even play a game because you moved up so quickly. And you mentioned it there, but it's like, it must be mind-blowing for you to have gone from essentially playing at high school to into the first team at Leeds Rhinos so fast.
Yeah, well, the Super League had only just started, and me growing up, I went to a few rugby camps here and there, and that's where I started to know Lois, because she was the biggest one for development in girls. And from talking to her, she'd obviously seen me play and train, and from talking to her, she was on about getting a side up. So with me already knowing Lois, that kind of that set me on to Leeds.
Yeah.
And I'd have never thought of getting to where I am from when she told me that when I were in high school. I'd have never, ever thought that.
The Rhinos team that you're a part of is actually quite amazing to me, because the amount of teenagers in that squad and to have achieved the amount that you have in the last 2 years is really quite amazing.
Yeah, when I first joined the first team, there were only one other 18-year-old that got moved up at the same time. So I was 16, she was about 17, 18, and the closest to us was, I think, 20. So probably not that big of a difference, but the eldest in the team now is 36. So our team has a massive range, but now, like you said, over the years over the seasons, we've brought in more and more teams from the 19s, and it's really the foundation of the team, because they're going to be there so much longer. And I think that's what we need. We need the young ones coming in to build it from every single team, because at the end of the day, if the young ones aren't coming through, then the game's just going to die.
And you've said it before in an interview, but is domination in the Women's Rugby League the aim for that Leeds Rhinos squad with that foundation that you have?
You know what, Leeds is great. We train the same as men. We train at the same facilities. We have their bus on game days, and stuff like that. And the same facilities that we use at training as them, you can see how respected we are in certain situations. Like Kev will always come and help us before finals. We'll get our shirts presented to us from like we've had Jamie, we've had Kevin, people like that. And it's really good that Gary Everington is really taking aboard that the women's game is going far, and I think a few clubs are still behind on that one, and they'll admit it, the players will. But we're really happy with how far we've come, and there's only one way to keep going, and we're going to keep going up and keep growing.
Now we'll come back to your playing in a bit, but there's one other side here that we've not tackled yet, and that's the refereeing. Now I was gonna ask whose crazy idea was that, but it seems that again it was just in your search to just being involved in rugby league.
Yeah. Well, at the time I thought, do I really want to be abused every single weekend? And then, if I'm honest, when I was young, it was just all about the money. And
Right.
I was young, I thought, well, it'll be good money, and I'll just do it here and there whenever I'm at one of my brother's games. And you know what? One of the best decisions I've made. It's built my life and made so many friends and had so many achievements, stuff that I wouldn't have thought in a refereeing environment.
Now you made your debut in the national conference last year. That's right, isn't it? And so how long have you been refereeing up until that point?
The other day it popped up on my timeline, and I think it was 3 or 4 years since my first ever game.
Oh,
refereeing.
Now, from my perspective, there's no easy level to referee at. You know, when you're young, the parents are the ones who abuse you, and when they're older, it's both of them. So it's like, was it hard for you to get into it? You know, knowing that you still got that coming from, or did you have like a different experience of that?
I'm quite thick-skinned because I'm quite gobby. So I think that's what I've just thought. I thought, well, I'm quite gobby, so I might as well make a living out of it.
Yeah.
But to be fair, the abuse isn't that bad. Like you've seen on TV, sometimes it can be, but it for me, a few others, they've had it bad. You get the few occasional ones that are horrific, but then most of the time it's calm and they just want to play. Like at academy level, they're trying to make something of themselves, so they're going to keep their mouth shut most of the time.
Yeah, of course.
To be fair, Yorkshire, NCL and Yorkshire Men's League, Yorkshire Men's League, they just meet up on a weekend and they just want to knock each other out most of the time. So that's probably hardest. But no, a lot of teams are just calm. They want to play, and it's a time of week where they meet up with their mates and just have a laugh. So.
And have you ever actually had a bad experience while you're refereeing?
Yeah, only once really. I've never been really badly abused except from one game, and that was horrific.
Was it mainly pointed at the fact that you were a woman refereeing the game?
The insults were, yeah. It was quite a local team. They're not a big team, but when I was doing it, like just stupid little things. They'd argue about a clear knock on.
Right.
And I'm like, right.
That's the obvious call you get at every single game anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, you see what I mean? It's just like the little stupid things. And then you'd get, and then by the end of the game, I've got parents screaming stuff like, "Oh well, she's obviously in a period," blah blah. You know, just like just silly little things, and that's the worst I've had. But it doesn't really affect me because I'm not really bothered about anything anyone else thinks. And I think that's what you really need to be a referee. You've just got to be so thick-skinned and just do what you need to do and get out.
And obviously we can't just talk about the bad side of it, so that's what everybody focuses on. But for you, you've been to Wembley, and it's refereeing there, and you were the first female referee to go there for rugby league. And what was that like for you to step out underneath the Wembley arch and referee there?
It was massive to me. It was something I didn't expect to get. Being alongside 5 other amazing officials. I did not expect to be picked to be in the middle for that sort of game. But there was a lot of pressure on my shoulders for one, showing that females are coming through the officiating system, and it was kind of like I was the promoter for it.
Yeah,
that's why it was brought across as. So basically, if you do well, it'll look good on women. If you don't, it won't.
Yeah, of course.
So luckily, it went really well. And one piece of advice someone gave me at the beginning of the game, they went, as soon as you've blown final whistle, just stop in the middle of the pitch and look round. That's the best advice I've ever been given, because otherwise I wouldn't have really been able to let it sink in what has just happened. I'd have just thought, right, ref the game and back off quickly before warm-ups happened. But it was insane. It was brilliant to look around the stadium and see so many fans already in the stadium.
And now something, you're in a position where not many people are in, because you're playing at a top level for Leeds Rhinos women. You're now officiating, I'd imagine quite consistently in that league. And are you worried that you're ever going to be made to choose? Be put in a situation where they say either do this full time or do this full time. You can't do both anymore.
Eventually, I will have to choose. Eventually, I will, and I've just got to look at which is the best option for me long term. At the moment, for playing, we don't get any sort of payments. It's just a hobby, really. We're an amateur club. So at the moment, if I did have to choose, it'd be refereeing, because it's an income.
Of course, yeah.
But things may be altered in the future, but eventually I will have to choose, and that'll be so tough, because just with this lockdown, imagining this is how it would feel like without playing is quite scary. So not looking forward to picking, but I'm just going to enjoy them both as much as I can until that moment comes.
Now, obviously, you've mentioned it there with the lockdown, where most fans and athletes, they're complaining about their leagues having been stopped halfway through. You're in a position where yours didn't even get to start, and it was shaping up to be such an exciting season. It's the biggest women's Super League there's ever been so far. It was getting so much traction. The TV coverage for it was getting increased. And how much of a blow to you was that being stopped when it was?
Luckily, before the lockdown, I had 3 Yorkshire-Lancashire games, so at least I've had a few games this season. But like I said, this season we're going to be a big season. There were 10 in the Super League, and it was a different structure to how a normal Super League table would go. So everyone would play each other once, and then the league would be split into the top 4 and the bottom 6. And the top 4 repeatedly play each other, and same with the bottom 6. And that's because people were getting disheartened, and other teams felt like competition weren't at their standard. So both the top 4 and the bottom 6 are always competing at a comfortable level. Well, not comfortable, but you know what I mean. So I was looking forward to seeing how that would work, actually playing the same teams constantly practically throughout the season. It would have been interesting, but there were loads more Origin games planned, and obviously the World Cup next year, everything working towards that. And I'd love to see how the women's game would have been treated this season on a whole. With something so important coming up, so close.
Well, I know from experience being inside the Giants that the momentum that it was gaining there, because the Huddersfield obviously were put into the Super League, and I know that the way that the media were handling it in there, they were looking for people to help out, and it was gaining that traction. So it's a real shame it's had to be stopped when it has. But like, how are you holding up personally then? Because you've basically gone from 2 years of non-stop changing and complete this massive upwards turn to suddenly complete stop. And I imagine even like stuff like college will have been closed for you now. And
luckily I'm in my final year anyway, so just got a few assignments to do and then I'm done. But like I said, playing at a standard like that for 2 years, getting into pre-season, and it'd be really tough, but for us to do that and it just stops, so it feels like you've done all the hard work for nothing, really. And it, like I said earlier, it feels so weird from always having rugby and imagining what this will be like if I have to stop, and it's quite it's quite scary, really. But everything will get better. Obviously, we have to keep training at home, so that's keeping time ticking over. And when we get to the season, hopefully we'll have put in enough work to get straight back out there.
And that was going to be my next question. What's it been like training for you at home? Because you must carry on doing it. Do you have like FaceTime calls with the rest of your group? Are you all like got a schedule that you're following, or is it a case of doing your work yourself?
No, each week we get like a training plan, what they expect us to do. But obviously most people don't have weights, so it's a case of just do whatever you can on this session list. Luckily, I have a full gym near enough. So I've been taking advantage out of that as much as I can.
Yeah.
Whereas I do feel sorry for others which are just stuck doing cardio all the time.
Yeah.
But they are very strict to make sure we are doing our bit, which is good because, like I said, going back out there would be ready to go.
And finally, you've already achieved so much at such a young age. Where do you go from here? What are your goals? We've got the World Cup in 2021 coming to our country, and with the women's game being played alongside the men's, it's a lot of exciting time for women. So what's to look forward to?
For the next step for me personally is hopefully getting into the World Cup, getting picked for that team, playing my first 13-a-side World Cup. Would be unreal. Like I couldn't imagine playing that, especially on home turf, with our own supporters behind us. I think it'll be amazing. So that's my next step. But over a long period of time, probably getting higher in refereeing, just gradually getting higher and higher, and because that might be the plan for the future. So.
I know one of your idols for refereeing is, and I've forgotten her name. Forgive me.
Belinda.
From the NRL. Yeah. And is that the sort of thing that you want to emulate in refereeing? You'd like to get up to maybe the same sort of level, be in the Super League even?
Oh, definitely. If I could go full time, I definitely would. It's something that I aspire to. And if the Super League treats women coming through just like NRL did, I think it'll be massive for myself. I'd absolutely love to be in that position. It's something I love to do, and it's something that I'd love to have a career in. But it'd be great. It'd be great for the game. Before we've had, I don't know if you saw those tweets from that page, but about Julia Lee, she was the first one to do.
I did a podcast with her.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, she's a really interesting woman, yeah.
Yeah, but no one knows. Not many people know about her because the publicity back then is nowhere near as good as it is now. No, and she went massively under the radar, and that's something that should have been massively achieved. But with how, like we've talked about in the women's game, media growing, I think just all round, everything is growing, media-wise, teams, the game in general, like RFL and stuff like that. And I think it's great to see that everything is growing within Rugby League.
Well, thanks so much for joining me, Caitlin. It's been a pleasure, and you've achieved so much already. I imagine that your goals will probably come to you one way or another, whether that's playing or refereeing. It's you seem to be on that trajectory anyway.
Oh, thank you.
And out of interest, which is the England shirt you've got on there behind on the wall?
Oh, that one is my debut in France.
Oh wow!
And that one's the Nines one.
Oh, it's an amazing wall of shirts for you already.
Yeah, I've got the PNG one in my room. They won't really fit in this one.
I was going to say they must be taking up most of the house, all the shirts on the wall.
Yeah, well, I thought we might as well do something with them, and we all got a discount for them. And to be fair, they are brilliant. They are absolutely brilliant. So I took advantage of everything. But
no, thanks so much, and a pleasure to speak to you. And
Thank you very much.
And I'll get this forwarded to you before I do anything with it. So if you hear anything that you've said that you think, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that, then I'll take it out for you. But I can't take anything you've said. But no, thanks so much.
No, I can't. Thank you very much.
And I'll hopefully get to speak again soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
See you.
All right. See you soon. Bye.